Ah yes, a One Piece analysis video centered on its world building. You don't see that every day. But putting the sarcasm aside for now, it's no secret that One Piece's world building is one of its most celebrated elements. Series creator Ichiro Oda has deftly crafted a world of breadth and width that has allowed it to encompass as much imagination and depth as tickles Oda's fancy. Although this particular topic has been discussed thoroughly, there are certain aspects of One Piece's world building that remain woefully underappreciated. I want to take a closer look at a particular example of the One Piece world that highlights the subtlety of Oda's world building, an element that accentuates the soft world building techniques utilized by Oda that helps to enliven the world and make it feel all the more real. This particular aspect being the Bondola. To any newcomers, please note that this video contains mild spoilers for the Reverie arc. Therefore, watching it beyond my warning is on you. Got it? Now then, in chapter 905 titled A Beautiful World, the audience is introduced to a transportation mechanism known as a Bondola, a cute portmanteau of bubble and gondola. This answered an age-old question on how individuals, such as the celestial dragons, are able to travel up and down the red line. Ostensibly, the Bondola is introduced for two specific purposes. Firstly, as a convenient way for Oda to move characters and items to and fro the red line, and secondly, to draw this page. Narratively, the Bondola serves no further purpose. However, its very existence is a wondrous showcase of Oda's indelible abilities as a writer and world crafter. To illustrate, let's journey back to the Subodi archipelago, wherein the concept of bubbles was first introduced. The Subodi bubbles were explained as being the byproduct of the Yarukimon mangrove trees. The roots of the mangrove trees are covered with a unique residue, and the breath of the trees seeps into this residue and forms bubbles. These bubbles within the unique atmosphere of the archipelago will not pop, and can be used for various purposes. Shortly afterwards, it is explained that by coating the bubbles, their integrity can be maintained and the bubbles can withstand atmospheres alien to the archipelago. This is how crews such as the Straw Hats can travel to Fishman Island. It may first be noted that all of this is a dazzling example of Oda's childlike imagination that he's been able to develop in a manner that allows such creative, exotic, and nebulous ideas to coalesce and form a tangible and corporeal world. To elucidate on the manner of world building, I return to the Bondola. As stated, on the surface, this is a convenient item that allows Oda to perform certain superficial narrative acts. However, the brilliance of the Bondola lies in its proximity with the archipelago. The Bondola exists on the Red Port, a place near the archipelago. As Oda opted to omit details surrounding the Bondola, the audience is left to infer on the conception and subsequent creation of the Bondola through information relating to bubbles highlighted in the Subodi archipelago arc. It can be inferred that the Bondola was conceived through observation of the Subodi bubbles and the coating mechanisms. Through observation, it can be understood that bubbles are sturdy and capable of withstanding any pressure and force. By coating the bubbles, their constitution is reinforced and can be utilized to a greater degree. Thus, engineers of the past, taking inspiration from the Subodi bubbles, would be able to design and construct a transportation device that can scale the red line with minimal energy output and fewer resources than something more convoluted, such as the giant snails of the Germa Empire. This is why we can see trees resembling the Yarukimon mangroves on the Red Port. This suggests that the trees were planted on the Red Port to utilize the bubble-making property of the Yarukimon mangroves. This also explains why bubbles litter the Red Port and the marine base on the other side of the Red Line. It can be argued that Shirahoshi drawing attention to the trees isn't just a cute throwback to Queen Otohime's lecture on forests, but a subtle nudge to the audience to connect the dots and figure out why bubbles populate the Red Port. From this, we can presume that the bubbles on the Red Port's sister location behind New Marineford are there for the exact same reason. Without delving into the history of the Bondola or bogging the story down with the minutiae of such devices and objects, Oda has eloquently communicated to the audience the how, why, and what relating to the Bondola. Inferring through information already made available to the audience, we are able to extrapolate information relating to the world and how it has technologically developed. All of this is an example of what is called soft world building. This is a manner of developing the world through implicit and equivocal details that allows the artist to articulate ideas and concepts without having to plan out every aspect of said ideas and concepts. Such world-building techniques run the risk of leaving too much to the imagination, as the lack of hard-set rules and parameters may make the world feel fanciful to the point of being unbelievable. As such, for a story as massive and disparate as One Piece, relying solely on soft world-building would have been detrimental to the series as a whole. The Bondola, therefore, is emblematic of how soft world-building, coupled with Oda's more hard-stone world-building techniques, have given the world of One Piece its identity and depth. Oda, through implication and context clues, is able to develop and build the world, giving it history and lore without explicitly stating anything. Such soft world-building rewards the audience and enriches the world in a manner that doesn't break the pacing of the story, nor does it inundate the audience with unnecessary and superfluous details. The crystallized details of the world and story are bolstered and buttressed through these more undefined and hazy details that helps to illuminate the whole. Simply put, Oda's detail and intentional omission of detail helps to develop the world in equal measure. Hence, despite being introduced without any fanfare or exposition, the Bondola is immediately accepted by the reader as a tangible and real facet of the world it occupies. And this is due to how the world has been developed thus far in the story, and how the omission of information in key areas allows the audience to develop the world through inference. It is a masterful display of skill as a writer, and is but one of many examples of Oda's astounding skill regarding world building. I hope this video was able to make you appreciate an oft overlooked example of Oda's stupendous abilities as a world crafter. Thanks for watching, and I'd be equally thankful if you could subscribe.